Hi everyone, Railman28 here and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another episode of the Railman28 podcast series. Now in this episode, we're going to be diving in to what I usually don't talk about, and that is politics, autism, celebrities and religion. I'm going to be diving into this very carefully because I need to address Donald Trump and RF Kennedy Jr.'s views on autism. Now, this is coming from RFK Jr., who's the health secretary in the USA. Now, I like to have a little conversation with him about what reports has he picked up about children being diagnosed with autism in California. Of course, yes. Now, it's fact-checking. According to PBS News, of course, I've been reading the reports on this. Now, I'm not too keen on politics, to be honest, but US politics seems interesting. And I know the National Autistic Society are a bit upset about their views on autism, about their view about Donald Trump and Robert Kennedy's views on autism. But according to him, he's due to do a press conference in September, of course. And I like to see that when they address autism. I don't know what they're going to say, but I like to address Donald Trump and RFK Jr. know some views that they have, maybe some views that are incorrect, I don't know, some accurate news reports, I don't know, but I'm going to come to my own conclusions. So here's the recent report. It says here, I've got here in front of me, it says, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. insists an environmental toxin is responsible for increased autism prevalence in the US. This is a preventable disease, he said April 16th, dismissing an HHS agency report's explanation for the increase. We know it's an environmental exposure. It has to be genes do not cause epidemics. They can provide a vulnerability, but you need an environmental toxin. His remarks followed a Centers for Disease Control and Prevention report on autism's prevalence among children that are found in 1 in 31 8-year-olds have autism, up from 1 into 36 2 years before. The CDC linked the rise to better screening and awareness, contradicting Kennedy. The medical name for autism is autism spectrum disorder, which is what I got, guys, often shortened to ASD. It refers to the neurological condition that influences how a person behaves, interacts with others, and communicates. Autism researchers and people on autism spectrum told PolitiFact more people have been diagnosed with autism as its definition and diagnostic criteria expanded over time. They also attributed autism's rising prevalence to increased awareness and screening. Autism has no identified single cause. Experts told us research does not support Kennedy's assertion that an environmental toxin is increasing autism's prevalence. Autism research has proven genetic components are linked to higher likelihood of autism. They said other factors linked to a higher likelihood include higher paternal age and maternal use of a drug called Valproate. I can't pronounce it. It's like Valproate, which is used to treat epilepsy and bipolar disorder. Autism is not an epidemic, nor it is it a disease, and nor is it preventable, said Mr. Remy Ugaru, a, a Carleton University professor and Canada research chair in critical disability studies and communications, discussing autism in such terms is scientifically inaccurate and can dehumanize autistic people and instill fear. Instant fear. Evidence does not support idea that an environmental toxin is causing autism. According to Joshua Unbar, an Arizona State University healthcare administration and policy professor, and one of the CDC's report researchers said numerous studies examined various environmental factors such as prenatal exposures to infections and antibiotics, potentially linked to autism. To my knowledge, none of these factors have been conclusively proven to explain the increase of autism prevalence. We have observed over the last several decades, he said. Zoe Gross, Director of Advocacy at the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network, said initial studies have suggested an association between autism and environmental factors such as pollution, but she was unaware of studies demonstrating the link between the two. Gross has also said a robust body of research proves there is no link between vaccines and autism, which she believes was environmental toxin. Kennedy speculated about over decades as an anti-vaccine advocate. Kennedy championed the false narrative that vaccines cause autism. Kennedy has also pledged to deliver answers about autism rise by September. Experts had told PolitiFact I can't pronounce it actually. It would be impossible to produce such answers in that time frame. Eric Thornborn, an Oregon Health and Science University professor emeritus of psychiatry, said he doesn't know how some researchers would begin to investigate the environmental toxins. Kennedy mentioned because doing so requires observing a cluster of cases appearing in the population in certain time period or within a geographic location. In any country I know, there is no evidence of clustering of autism cases in time, but by geographical area, Fonbonne has said. The lack of such evidence is another sort of piece of the puzzle which doesn't really support environmental risk hypothesis. Latest report on CDC report attribute increased prevalence to better screening. The CDC, based in 1 in 31 finding on 22 autism surveillance program data from 16 sites across 15 states and territories. The figure is not nationally representative. Autism prevalence estimates, the report had said. Prevalence very widely by location, with a site, Laredo, Texas, reporting 97 cases per 1,000 8-year-olds, and a California site reporting 53.1 cases per 1,000 8-year-old children, the report said. The report's 52 authors attributed the changes in autism prevalence over time and across sites, the differing practices for evaluation and identification, varying screening availability, and challenges such as financial barriers that can limit access to services. Since 2018, for example, California has reported the program's high prevalence rate among 4 in 8-year-olds. That's partly because a local initiative trained hundreds of pediatricians to screen and refer children for assessment as early as possible, the researchers wrote. Research has not demonstrated that living certain communities puts children at greater risk for developing ASD, they wrote. Diagnostic requirements change and answers acceptance increased. In 1994, the American Psychiatric Association Guide to Diagnosing Mental Disorders first categorized autism as a spectrum and included subcategories such as childhood disintegrative disorder and Asperger's syndrome. That change significantly expanded who could be diagnosed, folding in people with milder symptoms and stronger language skills, said Christopher Banks, president and CEO of the Autism Society of America. As a result, diagnosis rates rose sharply in the late 1990s and early 2000s. There you have it, guys, and also there's more to this. I'll read a bit more. In 2013, the subcategories were consolidated into a single autism spectrum disorder diagnosis that includes people with both minimal significant support needs, what was one considered Asperger's, for example, is now autism spectrum disorder level 1. Other factors have boosted the diagnosis rate. Advocates efforts to destigmatize, it's a long word, it's a bit jargony, autism have improved awareness, Fonborn has said. Beginning of the 1990s, more services became available to autistic children, including special education and treatments covered by insurance. Access to services means there's just a lot more value to the diagnosis, said David Bundle, a University of Pennsylvania psychiatry professor and director of Penn Center for Mental Health. More services to turn led to greater parental awareness and likely to more testing. Mendel said studies show preterm babies are at higher risk for autism. That means rising survival rates for premature babies maybe contribute to higher numbers. Daniel Appendon, President and CEO of the Southwest Autism Research and Resource Center, said CDC data has shown stable growth in autism's diagnosis in recent years. In 44 2018, 1 in 36 2020, 1 in 31 in 2022. These smaller instrumental changes, as opposed to sharp spikes in increase, suggests the effects of the diagnostic changes is leveling off, and we're approaching a more accurate and consistent understanding of autism prevalence in the general population, Pendon said. Now, before I read the autism's cause remains unknown, genetics plays a role, but other factors less concrete. Before I read that report, guys, now, I may not be American, but I need to tell Donald Trump this. He needs to see this. I wouldn't rely on RFK Jr. telling him. I'd fire him right now. Because one, people with autism, they can't help it if they get the condition. They just get it. I mean, you heard me read the report, guys. This is in America, don't forget. Who's to say it's happening here in the UK as well? If you know what I mean. You guys would know what I mean, right? I mean, when I read these reports like this, scientists, they are proving that autism is not preventable. It's not. So why is Trump and RF Kennedy Jr. so scared about autism? People with autism. I mean, you get some people with like severe autism, maybe, who need constant care, but people with autistic spectrum disorder like myself and maybe my other colleague Tony Bowden at Generate Opportunities, I don't know what level of autism I've got, but it's very more like level 1, more like a milder autistic spectrum disorder I've got. But having autism gives us that special ability and reasonable adjustments when we get careers. Now, when I read the National Autistic Society's page about these views on autism, saying, they cannot get jobs, they cannot have they cannot have children, they can't get into relationships, they can't pay taxes, they can't do it to sustain society, they can't get paid jobs, they're always lazy, they can't go to the toilet unassisted. That is literally, when I watch the PB News report, and I'll leave a link in the description to the YouTube video about their views on autism, I can't see one view of that. They may talk about autism, yeah, they do, but I need to address Donald Trump and RFK Jr. saying that what they're fearing is wrong. Most children who have autism may have a better life. They may have a better life, maybe under support, if they have plenty support needs, like if they get supportive living in America, learn how to thrive, learn how to cook, learn how to get a better life, maybe get in relationships. Maybe that stuff like that can work. And I mean, there's loads of autistic networks out there for self-advocacy who can self-advocate for themselves. Many people with autism in America, not speaking on their behalf, but I know they can speak out for themselves. I wouldn't mind if I launched Generate Voices USA to get people with learning disabilities and autism to come together on a Voices show, on a Voices forum in the United States of America, and maybe get them to talk about topics that they find issues in America, maybe accessibility to some services in the United States, what to do if there was an earthquake or a natural disaster in the UK, in the USA. Maybe that could work here. I mean, if Donald Trump wants to come and talk to me, I'd like to talk to Donald Trump about this. I'd like to meet him and talk to him and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. So that way they get to experience what we have here in the UK, and maybe they wouldn't be so judgmental towards people with autism. And I'm sure that pleases the National Autistic Society. I mean, National Autistic Society, if you're watching this podcast or you're listening to this, you got to listen to these readings that I'm reading here on pbs.org. I'll leave a link to this. I'll leave a link in the description below to this. It's called Health Fact Checking Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s Claim. There is no accurate reading on it. There is none. The causes of autism. There's no accurate reading. And if RFK Jr. is going to be fear mongering about this as well as Trump, then they're both like, they should look again. They should ask the UK their views on autism. Doesn't help to come. If they need help, why not come and ask us? Come and ask the National Autistic Society. Come look at autistic networks in the USA. And when they're going to get it through their skulls, autism is not preventable. It's not. You may say, oh, this drug caused this, or this drug caused that, or some drug vaccines for children may cause autism. You don't know that for certain, do you? No, you don't know that for certain. I could have been one of those children in the UK that might have had one of these drugs from the USA. I don't know. I mean, when I was young, when I was like 6 years old, I had to have an injection because I was a child back then. I don't know what type of injection I got, but it was at St. George's Hospital this happened, I think. This happened when I got diagnosed with it. And I felt a bit odd. In my childhood. I just felt a bit odd. And literally, I had to have drugs injected inside me. And it might have caused me to have autism. I don't know. But certain vaccines that can cause autism, there is unknown. Once you've got autism, you've got it for life. There is no cure for it. And RFK Jr. and Donald Trump should know this by now. It's not curable. Don't even try and cure it. You might make it worse. You might even kill a person if you're not careful. Yeah, so back to the reading on this report. Autism's cause remains unknown. Genetics play a role, but other factors less concrete. Scientists have found links between autism and hundreds of genes. Appendon said, beyond genetic research, have explored a number of potential cases, but few conclusive links have been discovered. Fonborn said parental age has been casually associated with higher prevalence of autism. The older the parents, and the father in particular, the more likely the risk of autism is. He called it a very robust conclusion, documented in dozens of studies. But this factor's effect on overall autism rates is very small, because few children are born to fathers over the age of 50, Thornborn said. Frightening, isn't it? Yeah. Studies have also linked autism to maternal use. Valproate was a drug more widely known as the brand name Depakote. Thornborn said pregnant mothers who take this medication have a small increased risk of having an autistic child. He added that use of the medicine by pregnant mothers is very rare, so it doesn't account for many cases of autism. And there you have it, guys. PolitiFact chief correspondent Louise Jacobson and researcher Karen Baird. Good on these guys at PBS News. I will put a link in the description below to this. And here's a little brutal message for RFK Jr. There is no if you're listening to this, RFK, this proves nothing. This proves nothing. And you're being fearing increases of people with autism? What are you so scared about? There's nothing to be scared about. You're like a scared sheep. Or a scared rabbit, to be honest. There's nothing to worry about people with autism, RFK and Donald. People get autism all the time. And some people with autism can get jobs, like I have. I mean, one of these drugs could have came over to the UK years ago when both of you were before both of you even had jobs. Like in the 90s. I was diagnosed with autism when I was 6 years old. And yet, when I got injected with some sort of drug, I don't know, or some sort of vaccine, I don't know what I was injected with, might have came from America, I don't know. But it's complete, it won't be in my DNA, that's for sure. And don't even think DNA can help look at the genes or what type of drug that was used. Don't do that. That's not nice. And this podcast proves it. PBS News, thank you. Thank you for fact-checking RFK Jr. I don't know, because facts tell the truth. You look at the facts from scientists, ask scientists, good scientists, and if they tell you something, you got to be prepared to accept the truth. And that's it. I mean, yeah, my views on politics is quite simple, guys. It really is quite simple. Some politicians lie all the time. As in Randy Orton's song, I Hear Voices in My Head. Politicians all are liars. There you go. Or the judges, you are guilty. Or the bankers will have losses. There you go. Or the judges, you are guilty. There you go. You've heard the song, guys, from Randy Orton's song, I Hear Voices in My Head from WWE. Yeah, of course. And autism, if people get autism, they can thrive in society. We can thrive. And I would like to have a conversation with Donald Trump and RFK Jr. as a person who's doing research myself into people with autism and learning disabilities here in the UK. It's better if they hear it from the UK, they can try and do something better for people with autism in America. And also, the National Autistic Society, don't worry, I am defending you on this. If you read this one, National Autistic Society, then you wouldn't have nothing to worry about. You may be deeply gutted on RFK Jr.'s views on autism and Donald Trump's views on autism. And I did remember one time when he was first running for president, I did watch him say, mocking a person with a learning disability, saying, "Oh, I can't remember." Yeah, he was doing just that, and I didn't forget that. No way, I remember that clear as day. Because you see, some people with autism can have a good photographic memory. They can do, and believe me, most of us do. And I will never forget that. Literally, I wouldn't. So eat that, Donald Trump. This elephant never forgot. So that means I'm technically an elephant. Really. That somehow... I do forget sometimes, but this one... It takes the biscuit. It really does take the biscuit and cup of tea. So that's enough about the research on autism that I just did just now from PBS News. I will put a link in the description below for you to go and see, and the YouTube video as well. And I'm gonna issue it out to Dan Wootton Outspoken, GB News, and Talk TV. None of the other mainstream medias. I don't trust them. I don't trust the BBC. I don't trust Sky News actually. I don't trust the BBC, the British Bashing Corporation. I don't trust them. No, I don't trust the BBC, and I don't trust Sky News. I don't trust Jeremy Vine. Don't trust Channel 4. There you go. And I don't trust LBC. Some presenters on LBC I like Nick Ferrari at breakfast. He's okay. Nick Ferrari. And I didn't like James O'Brien no more. Don't like him no more. Nick Abbott, LBC. He's good a little bit. He's funny when it comes to those sound effects. He's okay. Keeps calling Donald Trump Donny. There you go. Yeah, so I'll issue this podcast out to Dan Wootton Outspoken, Steph the Alter Nerd, and of course, so she could put it on Political Nerds. And I'm hoping she'll put this podcast on one of her videos. I would love that. So she would say, "Oh, that's how it works." Yes. Their views on autism in America, I am deeply disappointed in America that their views on autism, about Donald Trump's views and RFK Jr.'s views. I don't mind RFK Jr., but he needs a bit of a little nudge sometimes. So does Donald Trump. They need nudging as well. I don't have to like them, to be honest, but I'm no hater, because hatred is a very strong word to use, guys. It really is. I'm not inciting hatred to anything, but this is my views and opinions on politics and autism and celebrities and religion. Now we moved on to the main politics. Labour Party, Conservative Party, Liberal Democrats, Reform UK, and Advance UK, UKIP, Scottish National Party, Green Party, the whole lot of them. Now, I voted for Reform UK once before, and I'm just hoping that they'll get in to run the country properly. Richard Tice, watching you. Nigel Farage, watching you closely. And quite frankly, I don't believe them at all now. I don't believe in Reform UK at all. No, I don't believe it at all. They're just out for money. I can see that. Unless I'm wrong. I could be wrong, but it may upset Reform voters. But I don't think Nigel Farage is the answer to be Prime Minister. But if he did become Prime Minister, which is most likely he will, he might be a good Prime Minister. But the next opposition to Reform UK is Advance UK. I believe in Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe. I believe in those. Yes, I have my own political views. I need to keep to myself. I don't want to upset people. I'm not that kind of guy. I don't want to upset people. I'm a sweet guy. Yeah, you name it, guys. I'm that expert. And now I prefer Advance UK. I prefer them rather than Reform. But I don't know. And I prefer a much better Mayor of London than Sadiq Khan. I'm sorry. Sadiq Khan is a disgrace to London, in my view. He really is. And instead of putting more police on, he's reducing them. And no crime is being tackled in the UK. I mean, everywhere is going to be like the Wild West here in the UK. We want the police to do their job. We want law and order in the UK. We can't just get crime reference numbers, scrap crime reference numbers, have the police deal with certain crimes immediately, like shoplifting, burglary, handling stolen goods, rape, and other sorts of crimes, terrorist-related crimes. All crimes should be tackled. And that brings me on to this other topic. Race. Yes, race. Yeah, of course. Now, some police are afraid to arrest someone of colour just because they might get labelled racist. if they arrest a person of colour or do stop and search on a particular coloured person, like a black person, for example, if they do stop and search on that. But to be honest, here's my honest opinion and view. It doesn't matter what race you are, what colour you are, what religious faith you are, sorry. Whatever you are, what you look like, doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, man, woman, religious or not, you do the crime, you do the time. Simple as that. And the police will understand where I'm coming from, and I like to point out to them, don't be afraid to speak out. Don't be afraid. People have a right to speak out their views and opinions. Their voices matter, as well as those with learning disabilities and autism. Our voices matter. Everyone's voices matter. Even people's voices in America with learning disabilities and autism, their voices matter too. They have a voice. They can speak out. Don't be afraid to speak out. Don't be afraid of that. Now, that brings me on to another subject, religion, that might relate to politics. Sometimes people like to make it political in politics about religion. That should be separate altogether. It should be separate. Way truly separate. Now, politics is politics, really. Money is money, and that's it. It's all about money, guys. It's all just about money. That's what it is all about. Taxes, tax increases, Rachel from accounts. I think she needs to do her homework. I think she needs to go back to school. In my honest view and opinion, Rachel Reeves needs to go back to school. I'd like to thank the Labour MPs who spoke against the benefit cuts and budget cuts to those with learning disabilities and autism who are trying to get onto universal credit. I'd like to thank Vicky Foxcroft from Lewisham North. I'd like to thank most of the other Labour MPs who spoke against this. But there's going to be a review into this very soon, probably next year. We'll wait and see. Now, it comes to another issue about religion. Now, I was asked before what my religion was. I have no idea what my religion was. Originally, it would have been Christian if I was christened, but unfortunately, I wasn't. So, Father Calvin Robinson, big shout out to you on Downward and Outspoken. I would like to get christened to become Christian, and I followed the faith of Christianity. I like to read the Bible, to learn about Jesus, search for God, maybe. I might do that. But I like to do that in my own way, follow my own path in Christianity. I would love to do that. And I respect all faiths and religions. But extremism in religion is a no-no. That is more like a misuse of religion, to be honest. Take Islam or any other religion that's related to Islam. If some extremists use that religion just to get their way, I'll say, oh, Sharia law permits me to do this, or Sharia law permits me to do that. No, I've done my homework on Sharia law, and I've also go on Wikipedia if you don't believe me. And also I've done many educations, like sex education, that consent is the age of 16 in the UK. Is the age of 16. And believe me, it is. I'm not inciting anything, I'm just pointing out the facts. And if someone says, oh, Sharia law permits me to do this, no, it doesn't. No. Believe me, I was doing homework on Islam, actually. I'm not going to convert, no. I prefer Christianity rather than Islam, but I respect my friends who are Muslims. I respect all of them. I respect those who are with Islam. And not everyone's bad. It's the total misuse of it. It's extremism is the main problem. Extremists who want to use that religion for their own ways is wrong. Literally wrong. And if they want to use that to commit crimes, oh my god. We need a bigger prison. We need a bigger prison, to be honest. We definitely need a big one. And I have to state my views and opinions on this. It's important. It's important for everyone to know about this because, if they don't know about it, then what can we do? We have to talk about this sometime. Or someone might say, oh, that's racist, or etc. like that. You can't say this because that's racist, or you can't say that because that's racist. Well, to be honest, it's important to talk about it. It's important to debate about it. Because if that religion's being misused, then what? Where's the justice in that? Where is that justice? Huh? That should be another crime altogether. The misuse of religion. That should be a crime as well. Using religion? No. Some people who are from different faiths and backgrounds should take full responsibility of their actions and show remorse if they commit crimes using that religion. I'm sorry, but no. Religion doesn't state the fact in the Bible you have to commit a crime in order to get the will of God or whatever God's people follow. No. That's not the way. Some people might say that is the way, but unfortunately it's not. Reality check is no, it doesn't. Sorry. Done my homework, done my research, coming to my own conclusions. Not inciting anything. I'm not inciting hatred. I'm not inciting violence. I'm just voicing my view and opinion. That's it. Everyone else has different opinions. Everyone else has one, including politicians. They have their views and opinions as well. Can't blame them. If they want to be political in our country, then so be it. But I love England. Now, I respect all faiths, all religions, but don't misuse it. Don't expect to commit a crime and then play the race card when the police arrest you. You commit a crime, you do the time. Simple as that. End of story. Now, another issue is the Raise the Colours campaign. And that is the British flag, the George Cross, and the Union Jack. Now, it's been around for years, the George Cross. Now, it tells the story about George who slayed the dragon. There you go. And that story still stands, to be honest. And people might say, oh, we shouldn't have slayed a dragon in the past. It was criminal. Dragons must be preserved. Well, some years ago, some dragons were dangerous and violent creatures. Most people should understand that years ago, many dragons that did exist were extremely dangerous and they had to be slayed if they caused any trouble to humans. So, I may be disrespectful, but that was the way it is at some point. Some dragons are seen as gods and guardians, to be honest. They were seen as gods and guardians. There you go. Now, raising the British flag, I'm proud to be British. Always have been, always will to be a proud Brit. That's me. I'm a proud Brit, proud to be British. I love fish and chips. I love cups of tea. I love all types of food in the UK. British meals, British stuff. Celebrating Christmas, British steam trains, the whole lot. I'm proud to be British. Really am proud. And I speak for Britain as well, if I have to. And I will not let anyone judge our country's past. Because, one, World War II happened. We don't know what happened back then. War crimes may have been committed back then. You can't change history. To those who say, oh, war crimes. Many war crimes have been committed in Germany. Many war crimes have been committed over in other countries. It doesn't matter if that history's been... You can't just go back to history about that. No. It's cold case. Case closed. You cannot reopen cases like that. Whoever says that on Good Morning Britain, oh yeah, this guy who goes on Good Morning Britain who wears glasses kept complaining about war crimes and the British flag is racist, blah blah blah. Britain was racist. No, no. Britain was built by the Brits, by the British. It was built by the British and always have been built by the British. And I live by that purpose. Rule Britannia. There you go. End of. History tells stories. We cannot go back and change history. We cannot. No. It'll create a paradox. Literally, a paradox. I'm guessing some people would like a paradox, but yeah, there ain't going to be one. So, end of story. Yeah, what's happened, happened. Live by it. There you go. And by then, we like stuff done legally, of course, like immigration. Legal migration is the key component. I mean, I'm treated by doctors and nurses who come over to the UK from other countries, like Ireland. I've had Irish doctors in my lifetime, and I've had some doctors who are foreign doctors who understood people with autism like myself, who read my records. I'm proud of that. I'm proud of them. If they become Brits, they become Brits. There you go. That's the end of story. It's people coming across illegally is the main problem. And I'm not inciting hatred or anything, just in case some certain woman on social media goes around saying, oh, many people of colour are victims of hate crimes. What do you expect? There are many haters out there. Stop complaining about it. Well, you can complain to the police about it if you want to, yes. But also, I like to talk about race and racism as well. That relates to religion as well, to the British flag and British George Cross, Union Jack. Racism, I've been doing my studies on it. But also, what studies failed to realize is that not only people of color suffer racism, but white people too. We suffer racism as well. And I mean, it's a key factor. It's the truth. It's the truth. We all suffer from racism as well. All of us suffer from racism. I mean, well, I hardly hear anything. I hardly hear a person being racist to a white person. I hardly hear that. But you can see it in some TV shows. Exactly. It goes to show that us white people are suffering from racism as well. Even though we don't hear it. But secretly, it does happen. Believe me, that's the truth. It's reality. And of course, people are trying to bait us into saying stuff. Do not let people bully you or pressure you into saying stuff. Now, race and racism, it's important to know about racism awareness. It's important to know about that. There's many study courses. I've done some studies before. And believe me, racism is in this world. There's nothing we could do to stop it. There's nothing we could do. We can try in put in laws, better laws like hate crime laws, to prevent some racism, racial hatred. And some people who have been racist before, they apologize for being racist as well. They apologize, and it can be forgivable as well, as if they didn't get to know that person, they apologize and they just say, okay, I didn't know about you before. Can you tell me about your culture? There you go. That's a good civil conversation about cultures. I respect all cultures. I love all cultures, me. I just love them. No matter what, I love all types of cultures. British culture, American culture, Indian culture, Australian culture, and Jewish culture, and I mean, all cultures I like. Steam railway culture, that could be a new culture. Yeah. Animal culture, and like magical culture. There are loads of cultures out there, guys. I can name them all night, but all day and night, but no, won't do that. So, do your own conclusions, guys. Do your own research. Come to your conclusions. So that's race and racism out the way. What else is there? And celebrities next. Now, my views on celebrities is, well, totally big. Now, take WWE superstars, for example, like Rebecca Quinn, Becky Lynch. Now, I do admire Becky. I do admire her and her culture, Irish culture, of course. Because basically, I'm half Irish. Half Irish. I have Irish blood in me. There you go. I'm British still. I prefer being British as well as Irish. I drink zero alcohol Guinness, non-alcoholic Guinness. I drink that now on St. Patrick's Day. That's good. And now we come to Becky Lynch. She's Irish. She's from Dublin, Ireland, just like Mrs. Brown. Yeah, I love Mrs. Brown's Boys. Who doesn't love Mrs. Brown's Boys, eh? You need a good laugh. You need a good nanny, and Mrs. Brown is a good nanny to laugh with. And Rebecca Quinn knows when I say that. I bet she knows. There you go. Yeah, yeah. I love Mrs. Brown. Yeah, so Becky Lynch, I do like her character, Rebecca Quinn's character. How she plays it as the man, but now she has to change her gimmick, whether she's a babyface or a heel. It's all about telling stories, guys. But sometimes she can bash the wrong people, like she did on Raw last week. She did it unexpectedly, and she bashed the people of Birmingham, of course, saying, "Choking out the Irish, haven't ya?" She said, "Ugh. See, that's another baiting." And also, she mentioned Ozzy Osbourne, and also it felt disrespectful, but obviously he would have loved it. But obviously, I think that was uncalled for about Ozzy Osbourne. It was really uncalled for. I have to agree with Kelly Osbourne on this. Even though Becky was a heel, she was being her character. She was bashing the Brits, bashing the country, as she always does, possibly as a heel. I mean, take Roman Reigns, for example. Joe Noah, he was a heel, and he said, England's the most rudest place, the most dumbest place of all time. I was deeply offended by that, and Joe, I'm still offended by that, by the way. I haven't heard an apology from that yet, obviously. But I have to admit, Joe might be right. England can be the rudest place sometimes. Depends on where you go, actually. And he calls us a bunch of idiots. There you go. That was when he was a heel. Some heels bash England all the time, like Grayson Waller. He was the biggest British basher of all time, of Australian nature. I mean, some WWE wrestlers love the UK, even though they have to be heels, they have to bash Britain about it. Even Drew McIntyre did that as well. Saying England's a nasty place, he said. Oh yeah, you would say that, wouldn't you? Because you're Scottish, aren't you? There you go. Now, the Scottish are good. Literally. Scottish people are brilliant. They are brilliant. Believe me, they are. I mean, I might have a mixture of Scottish, Irish blood in me, or just British blood, really. Be British for all of us. That's how Scotland will put it. I like Scotland. I'd like to visit Scotland one day. I will visit it. Count on it. Now, that's mostly everything out of the way. Now, the next celebrity I like to address is Ian Lee, who I used to like on Talk Radio years ago. Now, Ian, I had to withdraw my membership from Patreon. I had to unsubscribe. I had to unsubscribe to your channel because, one, you also labelled Reform UK voters as racist when they voted who they want to vote for. Now, Ian, you need to fully understand, you need to take back what you said about Reform UK voters, that they're racist, when they're not. There's no proof. You have no proof to back that up. I mean, people would say Donald Trump's a racist when there's no proof to back that up. No proof at all. Apart from the odd Muslim bash that he did. Okay, that might be some sort of racist, but I'm not too sure about that. But there you go. honestly. I mean, he has his reasons, Donald Trump, but obviously banning people just because possibly their culture or race or something. But I don't know. Who everyone can everything apparently according to everyone, every radical lefty, everything we say is racist now. Everything we say is racist now. So yeah, there you go. No matter what we say, we're still racists. Literally, we are. No matter what we say. No matter how many times we try to say no, we're not. We're stating we have rights to views to voice our views and opinions. That's the truth, literally. Then don't tell that to them. They'll just say, "Oh yes, you are racist." You don't even tell me you're not, because you are. You are what I say you are. That's being radical left, isn't it? You got to be in the middle. I like being. I'm not left or right. I'm balanced. I'm in the middle. Even though I have some people who are lefties and some people who are right, but I prefer being level, being in the middle. I prefer there. Not left or right. No. I prefer being balanced. There you go. Now, free speech is important to add in this topic of politics. Free speech is important in our UK. Keir Starmer may say, "Oh, we've had free speech for a very long time," and the truth is, no, we haven't. And then the police commissioner goes, "Oh, it's okay. London is safe." The Met Police Commissioner said that, saying, "Oh, London is safe. Don't you worry about anything." Well, actually, London is not safe. It's not. In my view, it's not. Especially to those with learning disabilities and autism who are keep getting beaten up by haters all the time. And no matter how many times we call the police to ask them to do something about this, so they say, "Oh no, here's a crime reference number. If you feel you're being attacked, don't come to us unless you really are being attacked." I don't want a crime reference number. I just want a policeman to turn up and go and investigate. That's what I want. Law and order in the UK. I don't want a crime reference number. That should be scrapped entirely. Because one, law and order is important in the UK, especially London, who has the highest crime rates in all of London. And yet, Sadiq Khan's not doing a good job, is he? And this is nothing to do with race at all. It's nothing to do with race. And yet, supportive living. Homes being built that are supposed to be built. He ain't doing that either, is he? No. And yet, some homes are being built, but not enough homes are being built. And yet, crime's gone up. Hatred's gone up. Robberies and burglaries have gone up. Rape has gone up. Lots of crime has gone up in the UK. It's like it's the Wild West now. The Wild, Wild West. And we have to rely on ourselves to defend ourselves. And believe me, the police would know when we say this, we have rights to defend ourselves. Literally. Not violently, of course. If someone gets violent, we have to defend ourselves. We have to fight back. We have to fight back in order to defend ourselves. Not just hide it and say, "Oh, that person was the aggressor, not the other person who aggressively attacked someone." There you go. When evidence is key. You got to have evidence and proof to back it up. There you go. There you go. So that's crime and most of the other subjects talked about in this podcast. I've got off my chest. I did talk about autism as well. I did talk about that, which was quite interesting. So don't worry, National Autistic Society. I was on the case. And I'm definitely going to speak with Donald Trump about this. And of course, I like to speak with Robert F. Kennedy Jr., whose facts are wrong about autism. Wrong. Completely wrong. I'm sorry, but it is wrong. And RFK Jr. and Donald Trump need to know about this. Literally. If they come and do their research in the UK about people with autism, then by all means, they should. So I like to have a chat with them, and I like to have a chat with the autistic networks in the USA about this research they're doing. I like to do something like that. I love to go to America. America's a lovely place for me. I like to look at it. I have friends who live in America, like Sammy J. Bird, who lives over there. I know a couple of friends who live over there. Yeah, there you go. I know a couple of friends. There you go. Yeah. And there are some YouTubers from America who have autism as well. And yet they are living and thriving. I'm guessing they'll be getting jobs and having to pay taxes too. There you go. Simple. So I don't know what all this was about. It's probably what the National Autistic Society said. Well, probably what they posted. Probably wasn't accurate. It might have been accurate. Probably wasn't. But there you go. I've done my research and I actually read on PBS News, and I will put the link in the description below and the link to the YouTube video as well in there below, so you can come to your own conclusions. So thank you very much for tuning in to the Railman28 podcast. I will be doing more podcasts similar to this, more talks on autism, more talks on railways and autism as well. Maybe Railmen of Kent, at the Ashford Model Rail Education Centre. I'd like to come and visit that and interview Fred Gamer. I'd like to interview Fred and maybe do interviews with other model railway modelers as well. And like that, you see. I like to talk more self-advocacy. And what I explained in the podcast maybe is self-advocacy. I'm speaking out. Don't let everyone put you down on speaking out, because you can have a right to speak out. Your voices matter, guys. It always matters to have your voice heard. No matter what the government is, your voices have a right to be heard. They know that, and they should listen to people with autism and learning disabilities, not just chuck them in mental health hospitals for no reason at all. They should listen to those with learning disabilities and autism, hear their experience out, and that way problems get solved. There you go. End of story. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Stay safe and watch out for the bad guys. See you later.